Hey everybody, welcome back to the second draft. We have not talked much about music. Talk a lot of football, talk a lot of movies, talk a lot of beer, talk a lot of video games, don't really talk a whole lot music. We thought we might kick things off and kind of set a new trend of talking maybe a little bit more about music by listing off the top four, each of us are going to pick four, bands that we would literally give our left leg or eye or nut or I won't say firstborn child because you've got one on the way, and Sammy probably watches this.
And it turns you into a Canadian.
Yeah, so bands we would really, really love to have seen do one more album before circumstances ended their collaborative careers together. So
bands, I would say individual acts as well. Like,
okay,
yeah,
fair enough.
With collaborating bands, of course.
Yeah, so welcome back to the second draft.
Welcome back.
Okay, I'm going to go first. And my number one choice, well, not number one choice, but my first choice for bands that should have done another album before they were done is the White Stripes. And I'm a huge, huge White Stripes fan. Of course, the infamous, guitar and drum duo responsible for such timeless college sports theme anthems as Seven Nation Army. No, they're a fantastic minimalist rock band. One of my favorite bands of all time. They ended their kind of collaboration, I think, in the early 2000s. Their last album was really good. All their albums were fantastic. Some of them just had some killer tracks. The reason I picked them is because I kind of, aside from like the Raconteurs, I kind of hate everything else that Jack White's done since, with the exception of maybe a couple of tracks that the Dead Weather did.
You're a huge White Stripes fan.
I'm a huge White Stripes fan.
Yeah.
Massively so.
Yeah.
I think Jack White desperately needs somebody to collaborate with. I think the Raconteurs were fantastic. I think he was probably a little bit too much the band leader for the Dead Weather, and that's why it didn't really pan out. And his two solo albums, feel free to leave a comment below telling me I'm full of shit, but his two solo albums are terrible.
Not excellent.
But I really miss just Jack and Meg up on stage just ripping it up, playing like just the most simple but dirtiest rock and roll you can think of. And I really wish we had just one more album out of them, just to say we had one, just so we got another handful of rockin' tunes of just those two just being crazy.
Cool. Yeah, my first one, and I don't have too much to say about it that hasn't already been said all over the internet, but I feel like we'd be crucified in the comments below if we didn't mention Nirvana.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would love to see what would happen if Cobain was still around, make some more excellent music. And
Yeah.
I know that whole band would be, I don't know, maybe not in the same place creatively and musically at this point in their careers, but I would love to see what would have happened there.
Yeah, and not to say that I dislike the Foo Fighters, but I would trade the first 2 or 3 Foo Fighter albums for another Nirvana album.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and poor Chris Novoselic just kind of fell off the face of the planet after Kurt Cobain died. So, but no, I agree. I feel like just when Cobain died, they were really kind of hitting their stride. Like, the first album was really good, and they really just kind of exploded and really kind of found their sound when they brought Dave Grohl in on drums. Mm-hmm. The dude's a fantastic drummer.
Yeah, musically validated afterwards too.
It's one of those.
His career, the Foo Fighters have been really successful.
Just massively successful.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those bands that ended too soon, and of course, Cobain's life ended too soon as well. It would have been amazing to have seen how both his creativity as an individual and the creativity and the output of Nirvana would have been if he had not passed away. So excellent choice.
Cool.
Yeah. My next choice is the Traveling Wilburys, which is a rock band that was formed in 1988. So it was Tom Petty, Roy Orbison, George Harrison from the Beatles, Jeff Lynne, and Bob Dylan. Yes, Bob Dylan. It was George Harrison's idea. It was something he wanted to do. He wanted to just form like a super group with a bunch of his mates and just play some kick-ass, low-key, awesome, like, cool rock and roll.
That is such a super group of, like, get the whole team together, ensemble cast of a band.
And the weird thing is of course everybody listening, I'm sure, has heard the Traveling Wilburys, whether or not you recognize it or not. Every time somebody else sings, I mean, their collaboration, their candor, and their respective styles just melded so perfectly together into one whole that, like, when George Harrison sings, it's like, oh my god, this feels like a George Harrison song. When Tom Petty sings, it's like, holy shit, this sounds like a Tom Petty song. Roy Orbison jumps in and sings backup. It's like, is this a Roy Orbison song? Like, their styles just matched perfectly. They only did 2 albums. They did Traveling Wilburys Volume 1, and then they did Traveling Wilburys Volume 3. They did that on purpose. And of course, in 1988, after the first album came out, Roy Orbison died of a heart attack. They still did a second album after that, but they never toured. But the 2 albums are just fantastic. By today's standards, they're a little bit cheesy, a little bit 80s. I mean, it was a bunch of, older rock musicians getting together and just kind of having a blast. But the albums are so much fun. They're so masterfully crafted. And you're just seeing, like, 5 of the best musicians of all time just having fun making music with each other as friends.
So I wonder where Volume 2 is,
There is none.
Oh, well, I know there is none, but, like, that's the question, isn't it?
They did it as a joke, yeah. But, yeah, the Traveling Wilburys, for sure.
Yeah, you generally, when those kind of things happen, you have, like, if you're going to cook something and you have a whole bunch of really powerful flavors, you don't put them all together in the same thing, otherwise it just doesn't work. You got to, like, pick one, but this just happens and it works.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
They just played off each other so perfectly.
Okay, so my next one, solo act. Well, not necessarily all the time. Very frequently wasn't. Prince. I want to see Prince.
Oh my god, dude! Excellent choice.
I don't know what it was, but like I hadn't listened to Prince very much. Yeah, I hadn't listened to Prince very much in a long time, and then he did the Super Bowl halftime show a few years back, and I remember just like being blown away by that show and just kind of diving back into the music a little bit.
Yeah.
And just wow, like multi-instrumentalist, just incredibly talented.
One of the most low-key greatest rock guitarists of all time.
Yeah.
Just phenomenal guitar player. It's funny, there was actually when George Harrison, I think, was inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame posthumously. He and Tom Petty, who was, of course, he was good friends before he passed away, and his son, they played As My Guitar Gently Weeps. And you can still find it on YouTube. And Prince just jumps up on stage, somebody hands him a guitar, and he just rips the hell out of the most insane solo you've ever heard. He's on stage rocking out, and he turns around so he's facing the drummer, and he falls backwards off the stage, and his bodyguard catches him and pushes him back up.
Oh, that's nuts.
And the rumor is that Prince had never heard the song before he got up on stage and played it, which is nonsense. You cannot live on the planet Earth and never having heard, As My Guitar Gently Weeps. But it was such a Prince story that he'd never heard the song before, jumped up and just masterfully played like this incredible like improv solo. Yeah, no, Prince was ethereal. He didn't die, he went home. Whatever planet he's from, he decided it was time to go back. Yeah.
New music theory down to his bones. Yeah. You can tell.
Yeah.
Cool. What's your next one? Who you got?
My next one is, of course, Rage Against the Machine. One of my favorite bands growing up. In high school and junior high, I was listening to Zach De La Rocha and Tom Morello scream and yell. And I think the only time I've ever been starstruck was when I met Tom Morello at the very last, I think, Lollapalooza tour ever, before it just became like a localized thing. And holy shit, if there was ever a time and place where we needed another Rage Against the Machine album,
not right now.
We just we need a voice like that for all the shit that's happening in the world, especially the United States right now. And yeah, man, like Rage Against the Machine, like I play a little bass guitar, and Tim Comerford is pretty much the reason why I started playing bass guitar, because his bass lines for all the Rage Against the Machine songs were just insane. Like when I was like 16, 17, picked up a bass guitar, the first songs I learned to play were like Rise Against and Rage Against the Machine. So
naturally,
no, wherever you are, Zach De La Rocha, I hope you're happy, but could you get maybe a little angry and come back up and
make something beautiful?
get in touch with Tom and Brad and Tim, and we need some more right now, please.
Thanks. Whenever is convenient, like tomorrow or tonight.
Take the weekend.
Take the weekend.
Write a couple new songs, and we'll see you on Monday.
Well, it's not the same rock, but it is rock. Led Zeppelin. I feel like we had like if I didn't say Led Zeppelin, I would never forgive myself.
It's kind of up there with Nirvana.
I think it's just another gimme, to be fair, but man, like some of my most formative like when I was really getting into rock music for the first time, it was all like typical 80s hair bands because that's what my parents were listening to, and
Winger,
Winger, and like every stereotypical like hair band.
Right.
But when I got into rock music, like, and I was actually into it for myself, and I wasn't just listening to it because my family was listening to it. That was Led Zeppelin, and I was like actually getting interested in the music and like where they were coming from with the lyrics and just like these sweeping ballads and these like really kind of like deep cut but musically.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Also just like masterful, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you were the one that told me about this. There was a magazine that put out the top 25 like guitarists, top 25 drummers, and it was every member of Led Zeppelin individually got voted for.
Yeah, John Bonham is easily one of the best rock drummers of all time, hands down. Yeah, I think like him and Keith Moon, probably top of the list. Like just absolutely berserk, just madmen behind the drum kit. So
they're up there with. I mean, people will often say Neil Peart and people like that too.
Yeah, but I mean, Neil had like 43 different pieces in front of him, and he could literally play any song in any direction. Like Bonham was just pounding the shit out of where you put in front of him. Yeah. Just a wild man. Yeah.
Cool. Zeppelin,
yeah, I'm next.
Yeah.
This one you've unfortunately never heard of, but you should, and you will, because I'm going to put a link to their Bandcamp down below, so you can't see my hand down below, in the comment section, or maybe the description. Local band from Arizona, represent. Lo-fi garage rock band called the Dead Eyes of London. They were born of my other favorite band of all time, Redfield, based out of Phoenix, Arizona. They started out as like a 4-piece, then it became a 3-piece, then it became a 4-piece, then it became like a 5-piece. So there was a definite like evolution, like a whole bunch of like, you know, people rotating in and out and whatnot.
Yeah.
The music was just born out of just a love of that dirty, grungy, lo-fi, super high feedback garage rock, like just dirty AF garage rock. I don't know how else to describe it without you guys just listening to it, and you should listen to it because they were fantastic.
Heavy power chords but melody and like some thought behind it.
Crazy bass lines, just like all kinds of cool like retro feel to it. They very much had like a 1960s and 70s like movie aesthetic, like greasers and blue jeans and awesome band. But yeah, they only did 2 albums before they just kind of went their separate ways. But Dead Eyes of London will always hold a special place in my heart. Because it was also that band I could go out and see play every weekend and hang out and have beers with the band. So
yeah, I mean, that one they played at a party that I went to one time. I got their album and listened to it so much, like incessantly in high school, that the CD that I had broke.
That's awesome. Yeah, man.
All I See Is Red was probably my favorite song.
Yeah, I like
really
I Want It All.
Yeah, that
was my favorite song. Yeah,
fantastic band. They've got really good stuff. Check it out.
Yeah.
And that would be great to see them play again.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so my last one doesn't really fit with like rock theme that we've had going on this whole way, but I think it's good to kind of like bookend with another duo.
Okay.
The Civil Wars. They're a little bit bluegrass, a little bit folk. They're mostly folk music, but a folk duo. John Paul White, just fantastic guitar player, and just like a really deep southern drawl, but like loved Pantera at the same time, and that influence shows.
Yeah.
And then Joy Williams has this beautiful lilting voice, and when you put them together, you really expect their voices to clash, but they figure out a harmony somehow. And they did 2 albums and then split, and both are going through successful individual careers right now, but man, they'd be fantastic as a duo once again. I don't think that's gonna happen. There's some mystery behind why they broke up.
I don't want to perpetuate any rumors, but there was some stuff going on that they were maybe having an affair, and the music in the second album really kind of reflected that. I don't know if it was just the mystique of the music or whatnot, but there was something weird happened there, and we'll never know for sure. But
we won't. And Joy Williams' husband was their band manager.
That's weird.
And Yeah, and John Paul White had family and kids on the other side of the country while they were touring, and then I think that rumor was born out of just the fact that they had such incredible chemistry on stage.
I agree. Yeah.
And so
yeah, we both saw them. We were actually both at
yeah,
a show.
We had no idea.
We had no idea we were both there at the show. Were you there with Sammy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there with a girlfriend I was dating at the time, and we had no idea the other person was there until we were like years later. It's like, hey, have you ever heard the Civil Wars? Yeah, I went to the show at the Marquee Theater in Tempe one time. Yeah, I was there too.
There, yeah.
What was the name of the guy that opened? He was really good. Oh yeah, it was awesome. Like yeah.
That guy whistled. Raylan Baxter.
Baxter. Yeah.
He just opened for the Lumineers, actually.
No shit. I'm glad to hear he's still around and playing shows. He was fantastic.
People were giving him shit by the end of his set, though, because they're like, oh my god, he didn't whistle in this song. And then, sure enough, 2 minutes later, he was whistling in that same song.
That's awesome.
But yeah, we actually got to meet the Civil Wars when they came through, and they're really cool people, and they play amazing music. So
yeah,
check out John Paul White. Check out Joe Williams.
I love John Paul White. I want to see that dude just go off like Jack White style, like just go berserk and just play some crazy rock and roll, because I know he's got it in him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah,
I think he just digs the folky stuff too much.
Which is fair. He's really good at it. So
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I think that's 8.
Yeah, that wraps it up.
Yeah, I think so. Let us know in the comments below what bands you think either broke up or were tragically separated, or just decided to call it quits way too early, and you think they should have done one album, or you would absolutely love to hear one more album from them. Because we're going to read the comments, and when you make a comment, we do a reply, and we do the thing that's called a conversation.
Yeah, a discussion, if you will.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's do that right now. We'll see you guys down there. Thanks for stopping by. We love you, as always, and cheers.
See you next week.
There you go. I thought you were going to forget to do it.